All right, we're gonna do. This is my first run of Gods Unchained Sealed Mode tier list. I had to separate it because there's so many cards, about over 1,000 cards, that gonna have to do it in parts. But this is the first one for this series, I guess. The way it's gonna work, I'm gonna take a card at a time, kind of talk a little about it. I'll be kind of watching chat too, so if y'all wanna say anything, I'll consider it. But generally speaking, this is a rough draft based on hundreds of games where I've played, tried some of these cards, seen some of these cards. So just gonna do my best to make it. Now I'm gonna make sure there's the presentation mode. Let's do it that way. Nice. All right, let's start from the beginning. How small is it, by the way, too? All right, this is the card we're looking at first. Animon. Once per turn, summon a 1/1 Impling. After this creature attacks, is pulled to a no zone, or a friendly creature dies, or is summoned. Honestly, even at 4 mana, this is not a bad card. I played it a few times. It can get you 3 to 4 imps, especially if the opponent doesn't realize that it can do that. So I would put it at B tier. It's not a bad legend. There are way worse, in my opinion. Any thoughts on that? The frog, that's what you would say. I can say I've never used a frog in my life. Try it out. I would say it's a decent, especially depending on the pool. If you have way better 4 mana cards, I would never take it. But I honestly think it's better than most. Or maybe put C. I'll put it at C tier for now. Maybe move it up to B depending on the others. All right, Asterius. I mean, either A or S. I think most people would agree with that. It's such a good. Or I'll blow it up real quick. Friendly creatures is strength 2. Anyone who's played ranked ladder knows this card. In sealed, just because it's frontline, it's a decent card with 6 health. Giving the +2/+2, kind of conditional but hard. I mean, kind of conditional and hard, but when you can get it, it's really good. All right, A tier, and then Balthazar. See, 2 mana 2/3 for me is already decent stats. I would say if you don't have that many 2 mana cards, then this is just a good take because you get the bonus of ruining spells for the next turn. Many combos with Zealous, yeah, and Zealous is super common in sealed. All right, so Balthazar, I would say is B tier, solid B. For the stats, it's okay. And unfortunately, the effect only lasts 1 turn, so it can only be good. Cool. Cerberus. 7 mana, which is kind of pricey for sealed, so you kind of need a decent effect, but because it destroys a creature with 3 health, this could be at any mana. So say it's a big creature, but you've gotten it down to 3 health. It's actually kind of solid. Only problem is it's a little slow. In this rotation, and that's the difference with other tier lists. Maybe it will be during different rotations, but we're kind of in a mid-range aggro. The last rotation was clearly control, late game. But now it's you can sometimes get the late game, but I would say it generally ends around turn 6 to 10. So with that in mind, I'd say Cerb is a B, maybe an A, we'll see, depending on the other cards. The Destroy is good, but it's just a little too slow. All right, Choralis. Choralis Rune Moth at the end of your turn, plus backline. Add a random rune and reduce it to 0. Honestly, such a good card. I would say probably S tier for sealed. If you can get this to stick for 2-3 turns, it kind of just runs the game. And it's hard to remove because it's backline. So you have to have the spell. If you don't have a spell, the game's over. I would say that one's easy. And also, you can kind of tell depending on how often you see it. I don't see Cerb that much. I don't see Balthazar that much, but I see Choralis almost every time it can, like, if it can possibly be taken, it's going to be taken. Any card that adds value? Yeah, exactly. More cards. All right. Deuteria? I don't know how to pronounce it, but I see this all the time. I saw this in an earlier game today, and within 6 turns, they had a 1 mana 5/5, so pretty strong. I would say if you can get it out early, but even if you don't, just for 1 mana 2/2 is good stats, and it just ramps up in value. I want to say A. I want to say this is A. I want to say it's A. Any thoughts? Not having Sanctum changes the game. Yeah, I appreciate that part of the game. Sanctum is just another element. There's already like 3 different domains you have to worry about. Okay, cool. A for Deuteria. Dralamar. After you play your first spell each turn, refresh mana equal to its base. Okay, for the stats, 6/6 is like pretty on par. Like you can find 6 mana 6/6 with no stats, and that gets played. So I would actually say this is not horrible, but really hard to get the condition. I've seen it a few times played into me, and sometimes I picked it. All it needs to do is stick 1 turn, and it can wreck. Yeah, like you said, got wrecked yesterday. Just needs 1 turn. So I would say it's a B, or I feel like it's still a B. It's not like that good. It's just kind of lucky. I mean, we'll put it at B for now. Okay, Ekrileth. So, front line, and gain +1/+1 for each card in your hand. I mean, if you're playing Create or Thievery, then this could be good, but aside from those, it's kind of hard to get enough cards in your hand to have this be worth it. But despite that, I've seen it played. Definitely good for the stats if you can get a decent hand at 6 turn. I mean, when you have 6 mana, by the time you have 6 mana. So I'll put it at B. Yeah, it depends on your deck. If you have a full hand, yeah. And that's the whole thing. Like the S tier should be, it doesn't even matter what your deck is. This is just a good card. A tier is like maybe a few cards, but you really don't need that much. And then B tier is like pretty dependent. B and below is like dependent on the deck, and then good depending on the deck. Because some cards, even if you have the consistent deck, they're like still bad. And we'll put those in D. Like Merlin. Merlin. This is a hard one. I've gotten offered it a few times, but I don't ever end up using it. Sometimes I'll get it in hand at 8 mana and it's still too slow. And the stats are horrible, so it's like you need it to actually work. And you need like high cost cards, but how do you survive until you get to 8 mana and play this and then play the 2 mana card next turn? I would say this is probably D. Maybe y'all can do. I would say it's D. Like just for the stats, like 4/7 at 8 mana, that's so bad. And you can't even play its effect until the next turn most of the time. All right, let's go Gersemi. Happy to debate that, but I feel like it's solid D. Maybe there's somebody out there who vouches. Gersemi. Frey. At 3/3/3, I pick it almost every single time it's offered. Given the regen, both on the Roar and the Afterlife, can be almost as always useful. I want to say it's A or like this might even be S. No, it's not S, it's A, because regen is not as good as like an additional card. If we find more with additional card, we'll put it S. Regen most of the time dude, I disagree with that. I've actually been able to use the regen pretty consistently. Would go BC. You know, this might actually have an argument for B too. Because, like, if you compare it to this, to Deuteria, it's definitely worse than Deuteria. So maybe B. Maybe I was overthinking. But I do take, like, the reason I would say I was even thinking A is because I take it every time. I wouldn't necessarily take these other 4, but I would take Gersemi every time it's offered at 3 mana. Personally. Well, think about it. It doesn't bring that much. Yeah, but that's the whole thing. That's what's weird about Sealed is you kind of have to take not the best cards, but if you're consistently taking a card that you don't even think is the best, it's probably still, it's a good sealed card. It's just not a good, like, ladder. It's not like a good guaranteed card, but it's a good sealed card. A 3/3 that give Twin Strike more. That's a good, really good point. Yeah, alright, so we'll leave it at B. Alright, Grendel. Grendel's a very solid card. Blitz protected. After it attacks, it becomes protected. I see it all the time. Almost always gets a free trade and it's hard to remove. Solid A. Like easy A. Not S because it doesn't generate cards, but every time take. Every time. Alright, Hector. Hector's been like screwing me because I'll see it and then I'll see cards with Blitz, Flank, Frontline, Leech, Protected, Twin Strike. I'll see them and then I don't actually get them before I play Hector, and then it's just a body. And 7 mana 6/6 is not a great body. Maybe others have had better success with him, but I've had almost no success with Hector when I play with the idea of using him. Had a good run with Blitz and Protected. Okay. So what would you think? Like, because for me, I would almost even say he's B tier. Would you say it's A? But rare, yeah. Nope, never got the keywords, yeah. Okay, we'll put it at B. Because if you do get the keywords, it's solid. You just need the... If you don't end up getting enough of the keywords, it's just a useless 7 mana card. Sorry. So, next, Lokian Disciple. Lokian. 4/4, solid stats, hidden, really good and sealed. Characters damaged by this creature gain sleep. Only sometimes useful. Just with the stats, just with the hidden, already kind of B tier. Plus the effect, still B tier. The effect doesn't make it A, but it's good. A hidden alone. You know, I do see the argument for that. Hidden, like I said, hidden is very strong and sealed. Played it once. Relic bugged. He was still able to use it. Can you explain that more? I don't know what you mean. But yeah, Lokian is an every time take for me. If I see it, I pretty much take it. Oh, Relic was able to be played when God was sleeping. That's annoying. Yeah. But B. I think solid B. Alright, Managarmr. Confused. Creature after this creature attacks, refresh 1 mana. 3 mana, 3/4. Good. Confused. Horrible. We all hate confused. Refresh 1 mana. Pretty strong. If it survives. I think it's still probably B. But there are a lot of scenarios where this is useful. It is a take every single game I see it. But it's not like it, because it doesn't create cards. The only bonus is that Mana Surge. It really helps with Mana Surge. Would go A. Has to be killed. Synergy with Wild. Good stats. Would go A. Has to be killed. That's a Grendel. But the problem is it's not Blitz. It doesn't generate cards, and it doesn't immediately give stats. Grendel S and Managarmr. Grendel S? Okay, I actually see your points there. Let's, because the way I'm gonna do it is once it's finalized, that's when I'm gonna save it, but I'm not gonna finalize it until the end. After we put everything on, we can talk about moving a few things around. But I'm gonna put mana at at B for now. All right, next Merrick. Once again, hidden, super strong. The stats don't really matter because after a friendly creature attacks the god, set this creature strength to that creature strength. It has worked for me like pretty well a good amount of games. It's not deck dependent, so that's what I think makes this card strong. It's not deck dependent. If you just have any cards with good strength, it's going to be useful. See Grendel S when see what we're doing with the card generation. Yes, yeah, exactly. You can win with Grendel alone, need 2. Grendel does not win. We'll talk about this after. We'll talk about it after. But back to Merrick. I would say B or A, like almost A, because you don't need any help. And it's hidden, so you could leave it there for like 3 turns. I've seen this many times go to like 6 or 8 health. Slap in the face, 16 damage. Pretty crazy. And it's consistent too, like. Yeah, you can synergy it not too hard, right? Yeah, it's also guild. Alright, next Nemean Lion. Nemean Lion. I see it in the pool. I almost never take it anymore. It just rarely does anything for me. Like this, it could be really, really good, but it's conditional. And even when the condition goes off, it doesn't feel... It feels like so rare. Maybe like 1 in 10 times you get it to pop off. 1 in 10. It depends on the rotation, Chuck. Like, hidden in and now I'm realizing there's a delay, so I'm gonna wait a little bit longer before I move one because I just am moving on too fast. The last rotation, hidden was not as good, but this rotation it's way better, I'd say. Okay, Lion is okay. Still a card you have to kill fast before it grows. Yeah, but Lion for me is always too... Let's go back here. Is always too slow. I never get it going. That's how I feel, what Chalk said. I've almost never even had to worry about it getting killed. Like, say you have like a poison dart. You can leave it for a turn, wait for it to buff, and then kill it. And it's usually fine. That kind of thing. Or lightning strike. I would say it's like I would say it's C tier. I wouldn't even say B. Now wait like 30-ish seconds. And here's part of the idea here is S doesn't need synergy. A needs a little bit, B needs a decent amount and is pretty good when you have it. C needs a decent amount, it's only meh even if you have it, and then D is like needs a lot and is not even that good. Because ideally in sealed you want a deck of S tier cards where you don't need any of the other cards to have that card be good. But most of the time you end up having to get a ton of B and A, and then even a few C and D. And so the definition of an S tier card is you don't need the other cards, but the other cards, you need other cards in order for them to be good. Just an idea. Okay, let me read. Would go C, but yeah, hard to boost. And I like the fact it's still a card you need to deal with. Right. Like, it has an effect that if it's ignored, will continue getting bigger. Okay, let's call it that. Next card, Odessa. After a card is played, its owner expends 2 mana, 4 mana, 3/5, which is good stats for 4. I have seen this played a few times, and somewhat usefully. But in sealed, it doesn't feel that strong. Like, the biggest benefit of this card is just the stats being good. Okay, looking at the list now, I would actually put Merrick in S. You basically get to clone any mana 6-ish card, true, with a decent chance they can't kill it. So you could drop it 3, 4, 5, and then have it. Yeah, I'm guessing what you're saying is like having it sit for 3, 4, 5 turns maybe, and then yeah, add mana, drop it mana 3, 4, 5. Yeah, and just have it sit until you hit 6. You know, I like that. All right, the ones that we're gonna, I'll write them down so I don't forget. But we got to talk about Grendel, Merrick, and maybe Managarmr. We'll dispute them all at the end. We're almost done. 8 left. So let's just finish and then we'll get to the really juicy ones after. Alright, Odessa is 4 mana, 3/5. Doesn't need synergy. Good stats, but not like a strong, not that strong of effect. It's kind of like Gersemi or Lokian or Managarmr, so I would say it's B. Odessa at B. Odessa at C for Dark Love. Screw yourself. No, that's true. That's true. You screw yourself. But that's the thing. This is B. Bs are deck dependent. So basically, if you're running Odessa, you're thinking, I'm going aggro mid-range. If you're going aggro mid-range and you play this, it's fine. You should have, like, big cards. And it's cards. It doesn't work on God Power. So say you're running Summon Acolyte, Create, or Thievery, you can play that for 3 mana, and you can play a 4 mana or 3 mana card. Try to be as flexible as possible. So it almost feels like you guys see the effect as a negative effect, and that's what makes it a worse tier. Because these, like these two, for example, Managarmr and Gersemi, they don't have a negative effect. It's only positive. So that puts it as C. I do agree with that. Yeah, you can't have a deck that, yeah. No, I get it. It definitely, so we'll put it at C for now, maybe even D, honestly. But, I mean, I've seen it played enough times where I don't think it's D. This is even Merlin. This is Frey. I said that wrong. Frey. Anyways, Peripheran is next. 5 mana, ward. At the end of your turn, increase the mana cost of your opponent's God Power by 2 until your next turn. 5 attack, 4 health. Super good card, in my opinion. Super, super good. Because like God Powers are so important in sealed. If you can shut down the God Power with ward for multiple turns, it's kind of over. This is every single turn. I find this to be a strong card. I would say a solid A or maybe even S. because and the ideal for S is it doesn't need synergy, and it's going to be good regardless, and it happens every turn. Yeah, okay, you agree. Yeah, S. Like plus ward is similar to hidden, where I was in this scenario earlier today where I have Imperious Might and Swallow Whole. So if something with ward comes on, I can't kill it. I literally can't hit anything. And I like the spread this is giving now. Like, we should have a good amount in B and C and very few in S and A. So this is looking good. And we're getting to the really bad ones. Let's go. Let's just do them. Knock them out. Thalia. Roar. Gain control of an enemy creature's sleep. 6 mana for 2/2 stats. Goodbye. D tier. Trash. We can even name this trash. No. I'm so, like, as you can see, I'm salty because I will regularly get 3, like, multiple Thalias in my pool. And I'm like, I can't use this card. You just gave me a useless 6 mana card. Stop. I've seen this so many times. Maybe it's just me. All right. Probably no contest there. I'm just going to move on. It's horrible. We all know it. Thanakris. Afterlife. Obliterate a random spell in your void. If you do, pull this creature to the board. I actually saw someone play this and stall me for like 5 turns. They ended up losing, but it was kind of funny because the thing is, if you kill Thanakris, it still gets to attack on the enemy's turn. So it kind of just doesn't die. But I would never play it, so I'm not sure. Probably still see. It was just funny to watch. But once you run out of spells, you don't get it back. Even if it's still a comeback 3 times, it's still 3 for 3. Even if it come back 3 times, yeah. Wait, isn't it sleep after they summon it back? See, no, Chuck. Like when you kill it on your turn, the afterlife still triggers on their turn for them, and then it just reses and it's asleep that turn, and then you end your turn and it wakes up for them. They obliterate the card during your turn. It's a C. We don't really even need to C or D. Like it might actually be. I think it's a C because you can use it. It doesn't really have the downside. You just obliterate spells in your void unless you're playing like, I don't know, recursive. There's a few, but not many. All right, Triumvirate Prophet. 2 mana, 2/2. Give the chosen one afterlife. Give this creature strength and health to the new chosen one. Super slow. Not great stats. C. C. 2/2. You have to wait like 5 turns at least. It's so slow. Better than Thalia. Okay. Ulfgaar. I mean, 3 mana, 3/3, decent. After you play a Viking, summon a 1/1 Vulcaneer and give it Blitz. Unfortunately, it's play. You can't even, it doesn't work for summon, and that's the most, like, I messed that up a few times. You have to play the card. It can't just be like an Afterlife summon 2 1/1 dudes. But just for the stats, it's not horrible. I would say it's on Gersemi's level, so we'll put it at B. If you can get 1 Blitz, it's pretty solid, but pretty unlikely you get it. Yeah, never seen it proc. That's hilarious. I agree. Which is funny because like you would expect some, like Dralamar. I don't think I've seen it proc and sealed once. I've seen it played and it gets immediately cleared. Okay, Zaxiom. 5/5/5, which is good. And roar if any creatures in your hand have deadly hidden or ward. This creature gains those abilities. I never liked this card doesn't have blitz and twin strike and stuff, so but just for the stats it's okay. It's solid B, I would say, for the stats. And if you can get the effect, it can be good. Hidden is good, but you have to have a hidden card in your hand to use it. C for Zaxiom. 5 mana 5/5 with these with this effect is definitely better than these 5 in here. Definitely better. Like maybe Nemean Lion, but like guaranteed better than the others. It doesn't need to get procced. You just play like the 5/5 body is a, you got to deal with it in sealed. If someone plays a 5/5, you can't just ignore. But if someone plays a 3/2/3, I've ignored stuff like this all the time. Alright, Zaxiom B. And once again, we can maybe debate these a little bit more at the end. I'm just picturing common or rare cards I would take over it. See, yeah, that's a good point, because we are starting with legendaries. But you're right, they're definitely 5 mana cards, common or rare, that are way better than this. So but that changes our whole, like, if we add in the thought of common and rare, that changes this whole thing. Darklove and I have talked about, like, towards the end doing some sort of combined tier list, but we'd have to like maybe all the S tier, all the A tier, and comparing them. But B would be massive. Okay, let's leave it at B for now, because I still think it's better than these C and D. And then we'll put we'll go to Amplureal and then debate the good ones. Alright, 4 mana, ward, afterlife, add an Amplureal Sentinel, or whatever, to the second card of your deck beneath. I haven't been offered this in such a long time. I don't know why, but I think it's decent. Ward makes it decent. Screw you, draw. I don't even see it as screwing a draw. I see it as like potentially getting your like running, not doing fatigue. But that's like pretty deck dependent. So the biggest issue with this for you guys is it hurts the draw of the deck. So I see that. If that's the case, we'll put it with the other C tiers, the ones that hurt your deck, like Odessa. I still think this is better than D, personally. Because it's not that much mana. 4 mana at the end of the game, towards the end of the game, is not that much. But if you had to do 6 or 8 mana and it does nothing, I have better cards I want instead of it on 6, 7 mana. The 4 mana though allows you to do the god power pretty early on. Turn 7, turn 8, or 7 mana and 8 mana lets you do god power. Your plan is to rock the god power and a 4/4/2 on 8 mana. Okay. You're right. But like with that thought, like these are all the C tier are kind of D. But let's not waste too much time on Amplureal. It's not even a good, like, most of us aren't going to take C or D cards. Maybe like once every 10 pools that we get offered it, we'll take one of these. So let's talk about the juicy ones. So first, yeah, okay. So we'll first start with the Grendel. So hearing a few arguments for this being S that I actually kind of agree with. Like literally every turn it can become protected again. Here's the issue. Here's the issue with Grendel is there's a bunch of destroy cards that go through protected. What do you think about that? Oh wait, hold. Moving back. I would put it in a deck dependent. It could work in some yellow deck that uses Acolyte. Okay. Yeah, but that was for Amplureal, but that's why it's C. It's C. I think it's okay there. I still think it's better than other A. If you don't have those destroy, it's GG. That's what you were kind of saying. Like, if you don't remove Grendel, it's over. Yeah, and that's similar to these two, which I can agree with, and it's different than the, and that actually kind of makes Merrick seem like a S too, because if you don't remove Merrick, and he lasts for several turns, but we won't get to that. I definitely agree with Grendel moving up to S though. Maybe we got to move some more stuff to A, but nothing felt like that good. We'll see. All right, wait, I need to go back from the beginning. Blitz Protect is like a free direct 4 damage spell. Yeah, free, and it stays on board. All right, Zermaster. Nemean Lion is super good. Okay, better than Hector for sure. Can you elaborate? Because when we were talking about it, it sounded not that good. Better than most in B tier. Merrick is not as good. So Chalk said Merrick is S, but Zermaster and Darklove think Merrick is not as good. So to me, I want to go in the middle, just for the general purpose. Yeah, so if two of y'all are saying Merrick is not as good, and Chalk says it's S, and I actually think it's kind of high too. Let's just keep it at A. Not going to move Merrick. But Nemean Lion, I'm still curious about. Nemean Lion has synergy with your and your opponent's cards, and usually is stick enough to survive. and has 3 HP. Wait. Oh, that's Merrick. Yeah. Look, let's go back to Nemean though. You and your opponent's cards. I like that argument, because synergy is hard enough if it's your 30 cards, but if you also get to include your opponent's 30 cards, it does make it a little bit better. You need to pick hidden god power to make Merrick good. I get that, because then you can hit. That is the issue with Merrick. If you hold him and you hit after the hidden, they lose it and it's kind of dead. All right, yeah. Let's start with one. Nemean Lion. I agree it could go up. I agree it could go up based on your thing. And the issue is I never run it, so I can't verify how good it is. I always see it and I'm like, nah, I'm not going to take it. But now I'll try it out. So that's helpful. I'll try it out and then I'll give more comments after I use it. All right, next, if Nemean is solid B, maybe even move it up later. We'll see. Merrick is getting a lot of focus too. Or run shit cards of use if you don't have Merrick with them in hand. You should be using Merrick as a cloner, not every turn, yeah. Don't need multi-use of Merrick. Yeah, agreed, actually. It's... Okay, so here's the... Zermaster, just so you know, one of the things we've been talking about, what distinguish these tiers, is S doesn't need hardly any synergy to be good value. A needs a little bit of synergy and is guaranteed pretty good value. B needs synergy, and even with the value, it's like good, but not that good, not as good as A. And then C and D is like they're on. So with that logic, Merrick needs a little bit of synergy, but if you can get a single 6 attack creature to attack face, that's like 12 damage a face, which is a lot. You can almost finish games with that. That's my rationale for why I think it's higher than B tier. It's like, even if you get the bonuses for some of these, it's not going to guarantee you a lot of damage to face, and that's how you finish the game a good amount of the time, is like heavy damage to face. Okay, that's my thought, and I'm going to keep reading chat because y'all have been saying a lot. Clone the giant and hit. Yep. One hit is enough. Asterius, S tier for sure. Interesting. We'll talk about that. Ekrileth, C tier. Interesting. We'll talk about that. Blitz Viking is so bad, D tier. Yeah, we talked about how it never gets to the proc. That's hilarious. If you compare that to Asterius, Asterius need to be God tier. Interesting. Because that's slow as fuck and dies to vanilla board clear. 6, 3. Wait, which one? I don't know which comment this is about. Because that's slow as fuck. Maybe about S tier. No, not much board clear in sealed, yeah. Hidden so strong, could probably go... Go see the Viking. Yeah. I won't argue with that. Triumvirate is at least B tier. I'd say SA tier. All right, I need some additional thoughts on that semester, because I think it's trash personally. Just very slow. Asterius is only S tier if you have a board. I think it's good at A. Exactly, yeah. And that's what the synergy is. That's what I've been trying to say about the synergy. Because Asterius needs the synergy, with a little bit, it's great. But if you just play it by itself, it's not good. And a lot of time, like, that's the whole thing. The difference to me with sealed and the other modes is you need to have an ability to play cards with no help. Like, you're running out of cards, everyone's been removing, and you just need to play like a 6 mana card or whatever mana card, and it needs to do something. That's what makes it different than ladder. You can't guarantee on the synergy. So with that rationale, Choralis is a guaranteed S tier card because you get an additional card and it's reduced. It's just so good. This is like the S standard in my opinion. Benchmark. Okay, that's my thoughts. Yep, A good. Zaxiom C2 then. Yeah. Asterius is still a 4/6 front line, yeah, which above vanilla 6 tier value if you have at least one creature. That's the thing. It's so good if you have at least one creature. That's the core part. Whoops. I didn't mean to do that. Okay. Triumvirate can be piped on turn 1 to make it a chosen one that pass on stats. Alright, you're talking based off of like getting it on the first turn, which by itself is like just so low chance. I just been screwed by RNG thinking I need to get good cards at the time I need them and I don't get them. Whereas like there's some cards you don't need to get them at a good time. They're just good at any time, period. That's what the higher tier should be. Good at any time. So maybe at most I would make this a B, I think, in my opinion. Alright, Asterius poses your threat to your opponent. He is forced to clear border, instant lose, yeah. Clear the board. Would you prefer a deck with 3 Merrick? No. I get your logic there. That's why I'm laughing. No. You're right. Using pipe on T1 going first for a 2/2 that give effects slowly seems great, yeah. Or 3 Asterius, yeah. No, you're right. I'd pick any 2/3 vanilla 2-drop over Merrick. Yeah. Yes. I'm thinking about this, man. You're bringing up very solid points. I'm just thinking about it. You wouldn't put 3 Merricks in the deck. Leave Merrick alone. He sucks and he didn't deal with it. With 15, yeah. See, that's the difference. I don't play ranked at all. I'm purely basing this tier list off of my and I could even show you my history. Like I play so many games of sealed, and I do truly feel like Merrick has value. Like it's better in my opinion than other cards because it finishes games. Like Merrick legit has finished me so many games because I get an extra 6 damage that was unexpected. Like that's how I gauge these. Like some of these are good cards, but they don't finish games. Like Managarmr is good, but I still need a whole nother deck. Like Merrick can just end the game in 2 turns. Yeah, but how many games Asterius finished for you? That's the problem. Like that's my issue when I personally play Asterius and I picked him so many times, it does not help me win games. Most of the time I can't even use the synergy. It just doesn't line up. My board just gets cleared every single game until and then I'm forced to play it by itself or with one creature and it barely does anything. That's me personally. I still think it's a good card. I just don't think it finishes games. It's been finished. It's you know what? To be fair, it's been used to finish on me. But that's why I think it's strong. I definitely don't think it's weak. I just don't think it's that much stronger. Merrick, you can finish him while losing. Yes, I agree. Asterius feel better, but need way more synergy. That's the thing. It's a great card if you have any synergy. You have 2 1/1 creatures on your board. It's amazing. If you don't have it, it's like pretty meh. It's mostly enough to play him on one poor guy. Yeah, we all have Asterius. Like, it's definitely gotten me so many times. I don't see it. I still think it needs too much synergy to be just like a solid sealed card. Like, you could play Merrick by itself on a turn, and then like you already had like previous turns where you would put on a board. I mean, I guess that's the same as Asterius, but that's why I think they're even. I think they're even in a sense. And Asterius, okay, that's a really good point. Asterius shields the guy he buffs. If you play Merrick on an empty board, it gives two reach. Yeah, you're right. Play front line. Yeah. You can still play 4/6 body to the board if both out of cards. Yeah, in top deck mode. Agreed. Yeah. The 4/6 body by itself is better than Merrick's 2/3 body. For sure. And frontline. All right, while I'm thinking about that, I'm going to make the few other changes that we talked about. I actually think Managarmr could go up to A. And Nemean Lion maybe even A. We'll see. I just haven't played this enough to get... I need more experience with this. I'll take your word for it that it's better than I think, but I played it 0 times. But I think everything else is pretty much sorted out. We're really getting to these two. Merrick and Asterius. Alright, more comments. Merrick requires you have an even bigger board. That's fair. You do need a bigger threat, so he gets to get value. If you have a big threat on the board already, it's more likely you win than just a few small guys your opponent isn't forced to clear to not die. Most solid point so far, man. Most solid point. I really think the only difference is the on a power level compared to the other cards. Think about it this way. Compared to the B tier cards, Asterius and Merrick have very similar abilities to just end the game. Just like completely end the game with no play around. Whereas like these other B tier cards are good, but they can't just like force the game to end. You need more and more stuff to pile onto it. It was like extra 6 attack from Asterius, or 4 to 6 attack, and then extra 4 to 6 attack from Merrick. That could be lethal. So that's my rationale and why they would be similar. Cerberus, I was thinking about that. I just feel I had been I don't think you were here earlier, but when we were talking about the speed of the sealed mode rotation right now, I think we're in a slower, I think we're aggro mid-range right now. Last rotation, I would say, was slower, control. But now I feel like most of the games end at 6 or 7 mana. A few later. Yeah, it's game winning if not removed immediately, and it has every turn effect. I agree with that completely. And I talked about it, I just had thought it was a slower card, but now with that rationale, like the other every turn effect cards generally are higher. It's game winning if it's not moved yet. It cuts 60% of classic opponent HP curve out of being played before removed. Nice. That's a good point. It's a good question. I don't think I would move Nemean just because of my own experience right now. I think I will keep him. But this is higher than the C tier I had him on, so. Yeah, maybe mana goes back. These 4, I think, way better than this. I think the threat, like, you do get 1 extra mana every turn, but it has to, like, it's confused. That's what's just so annoying about it. Confused is a downside. Sorry. Sometimes you have to pick magic or deception because your curve's so bad and you lack removal. Yep, that's me often. Just having access to light GP enables winning games by doing GP and remove every turn. Enjoy the extra mana for 0 to 1 turns, exactly. Super easy to remove. Okay, you know, I'm feeling good about where we're at. I think we've had a really good spread of ideas, but I don't want the YouTube video to be too long, and I hate editing, so I'm not gonna cut most of it. So let's just call it where we're at right now. Pretty good spread. I have a lot of understanding of why we chose them in each tier. The only other thing that I might add is the comment I was making. That's too much to write. I'll do this in the next one. I'll change the S through D for the next one. We'll just call it here. Save it. Thanks everyone for helping with this. This is super fun to talk about and to do. Or we'll do Gods. Fearless or election. I don't need that. All right, this is it. This is what it looks like. I'm gonna put it in the chat if it lets me. I don't really know how this works. If I put it here, maybe it will work like that. Yeah, it works that way. Cool. All right, so that's it. That's where I'll stop the YouTube video. But I think that was super fun. I'm definitely gonna do more of this. We're gonna add, I think, core epics will be next. It takes me some time to download these pictures, but once that's done, I'll set up the next one and we'll do it again. Super fun. All right, I need to